as you like, anyway. Hi, Anne.
Hi. I'll just turn the video on.
Hello. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
Grand, thank you.
Good.
Nice teddy.
Sorry?
Nice teddy bears.
We were just talking about them.
Yeah, the big one my son bought for the two dogs. He walked into Costco and said, I have to buy it for the two dogs. I think he thought I was going to get real annoyed with them, but yeah, we had to squeeze it into the car. It was, yeah, interesting, yes.
Lovely.
So my husband uses it if he comes in, because he's working from home, if he comes in to have a work sort of rant about something, he sort of lies with that as a pillow sort of thing, and sort of props him up.
Perfect.
Good talking point, having the camera facing right on them.
Please also note as well, Maya, you don't see my ironing table anymore. I think for the whole year on the meetings we've had for resilience, you saw my ironing table. We've changed the room around, so this makes me look more intelligent because I have
got a bookshelf behind you.
And I have a map here.
We were always comparing people when I was at my parents, people on the news that are doing there, they've always got a bookcase behind them, and it's either alphabetically ordered or color coded, or sometimes just really messy. Like you can tell a lot by somebody's bookcase.
Yeah, we just changed the room round, and it wasn't until we had the first Zoom somebody went, "Oh, you can't see your ironing table anymore, Linda." And I thought, oh gosh, for a whole year I had meetings with an ironing table behind me, so this is much better.
It could be worse.
No, this is Michael's posh map here, so it's fine.
Oh, nice. Is it homemade?
No, he bought it, but it's one of these it's a kind of beveled thing. It's not like your traditional map of the world. It's a kind of weird beveledy shape.
Looks sort of ceramic almost.
Yeah, it's different. It's just different. And my sewing machine has moved as well, so it's fine.
Nice.
I thought it was a work of art, actually. It's not until you said it was a world map that I realised what it was.
Thank you so much. No, he bought it. I can't remember. I think he bought it on Amazon. He wanted a world map, but he didn't want a traditional one. He just wanted something a wee bit different. So he went and he got that. And we've done this room up, so it's so much better now because it doesn't. I think it makes me look much more intelligent with a bookcase and a map.
Oh dear.
How many people are coming tonight, Maya?
Well, there's one or two more that have registered, but we'll just kind of see who pops in. Roseanne, obviously you've been to, I think, all of them, have you not?
No, I think I've missed a few just because Thursday morning's always housework day, so I'd have grand intentions of phoning in and then get waylaid with the housework and then think, oh, damn it.
So I don't know, because Linda and Anne, I know this is your first time dropping into one of these meetings since we started the Celebrating Communities. So I'm not sure if you want a little kind of mini introduction to it, and also I don't know if all three of you know each other, if you want to do a little hello.
No, Anne, yeah.
Yeah, I've met Roseanne it was a wee while ago now. In fact, I've kind of lost.
It was before lockdown.
It was before lockdown, I know, but I just feel as if last year didn't quite happen.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I know that sounds mad considering how awful it was, but I kind of jumped straight from 2021 back to 2019 in my head all the time.
I'll give a wee 5 minutes, a wee 2 minutes for me. I met Maya. I was part of the core resilience team with Sue. Sue was the Spock, and when she asked for a volunteer, I put my hand up. It came through on Facebook, and I put my hand up thinking it would be 2 weeks, and 4.5 to 5 months later, we all stepped down. I met a lot of interesting people. I met obviously the people on the core team. I also met a lot of people in the community centre, the day centre, Carol Stobie's Befrienders, and I saw North Berwick in a totally different way. There's a lot of people here that are lonely and isolating and have lots of different issues, not necessarily old people, but young people too. When resilience stood down, I went and I thought I would volunteer with Katie Nevins at the community centre, because I saw what Katie had done at the start of lockdown and developed the food hub, and we're making up food bags for people and meals and all sorts. And I've been actually there since August until yesterday when she phoned me and she's furloughed me. They've ran out of money. They've ran out of money, so they can't make up the bags anymore, the message bags. So people are just going to go in and use the food that's there. And when the food runs down, who knows what will happen unless they get any more money. So it's for me, it's been a really interesting journey. And I kind of signed up to this because I liked working. We had a really good resilience team, and I liked working with the people, that were on the team. And I quite like old people too, I've decided. I think I like them better than young people because they have like staying power. They have a sense of humor. They never give up. So this is why I kind of signed up when Sue said she was going to do something like this. I thought it might be quite good. And Claire, who's on it as well, is doing something about singing. So I've said to Claire, I'll help her with the singing thing. Not that I'm going to sing, but I'll help her with what she needs to be done. So that's just a wee bit of my background and how I came to know Maya and Sue, and why I'm kind of logging on to these meetings.
I
Is
suppose
that okay, Maya?
Yeah, perfect.
I suppose I should say how I know Maya. I know Maya as well through Sue, and I know Sue because my husband has extremely advanced dementia, and I was involved with Life Changes Trust for a short time, and organised a conference at the Marine for people who care for people with dementia. And from that, a couple of us started a peer support group for carers of people with dementia. And it is just a peer support group. It isn't a professionals group at all. So that's kind of how I know. I've been involved with things with dementia for a while, but not quite so much in the last year or so. That's how I've come to this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi.
Hi, just so you came in here, you managed to make it.
Yeah, this is three meetings on the trot since 4 o'clock.
Oh, wow. Well, I hope you've got a tea or coffee or something.
Or a wine like me.
Oh, nice. Even better.
Allowed.
Yeah.
Been a long day.
I don't know if, Roseanne, do you and Linda know each other?
No.
No, I'm dementia friendly Trent. I had to think where I was. Yeah, dementia friendly Trent. It was through Sue, because obviously dementia friendly Slovian, so that's how I got involved.
Jackie, we've just done a little bit of an intro. I don't know if you know Linda or Anne. So I'm sure you just heard Anne's intro, and Linda was working with myself with the resilience group in North Berwick, and has currently, or since yesterday she was saying, volunteering for the community centre in North Berwick, and with a lot of the isolated people, giving kind of food bags, and unfortunately that's now seems to have stopped. So that's something really interesting, Linda. I don't really know. You'll obviously know the need there, and what's kind of how that's going to impact on so many people.
Yeah, it's Katie's applied for further for more money for further grants, and I think they've been approved. It's just a case of waiting for it to come through, but there's still food there for people that are needy. It's actually quite surprising how many bags are still going out and how many people actually still use the hub. but at the moment there's none of the basic staple bags going out, but there's still like Tracy Cunningham, I don't know if any of you know her. Her husband Rob's a chef. He comes in when poor man works offshore, and then when he comes back onshore, he goes into the community centre 2 days a week and cooks frozen meals to give out to people too. So it's a huge big thing, and I suppose at some point it has to stop because it was set up as an emergency, an emergency food hub, because you do have the food bank at Trent, the Trussell Trust Food Bank at Trent, but there is actually still a need in North Berwick for this. But hopefully now, because we're coming out of lockdown, hopefully maybe April, May, as we know it, hopefully people will get back to work, and there still will be needy people, without a doubt, and nobody should have to go hungry in this day and age. It's awful, but Katie's done a wonderful job. It's phenomenal what goes on in the community centre. So I don't know. She just phoned me yesterday and said, "There's no more money. I don't need you, but just stay there, and if we get more money, I'll call you back up." So I'm a furloughed volunteer, I think you could say.
I'm a redundant volunteer. I used to do the Sue Ryder shop in Haddington. They closed down altogether.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I like that shop. I used to go into it.
Yeah, no. I was there 3 years. I made the manager redundant.
Right.
Yeah, changed days. I think everything's changed as we know it. But the good thing is now the weather's a wee bit nicer. I got out in the garden today. I was so happy not to be sitting in the house all day.
Yeah.
I think I've been really tired and really lethargic, and I think it's not that I haven't been doing things. I think it's just because you sit in your house, and the only place I went was the community centre. Aldi's was a treat to go to Aldi's. Can you believe that? It was a treat to go to shop in Aldi's because my husband took over the shopping. So yeah, so I'm very hopeful. Michael's had his first jag. I haven't had my jag yet, so I'm waiting. And then I'm hopeful that we'll move on and it'll be kind of back to normal again soon. I hope.
Yeah, because the meeting I was at just before this, my husband was on the same call, and he's in Estonia, doesn't know when he'll get back, but life is pretty, they've got COVID around, but life is normal. He can go out for a meal, he can go to the shops, he can go skiing, he can go to the public sauna,
So is it not so bad there in Estonia?
Well, they've got it, they've just managed it differently.
Right.
And interestingly there, all teachers are getting vaccination in the schools, because the schools are open. And he's a university lecturer, so university lecturers, they're going to be moving on to them. So he'll probably get a vaccination there.
That's good. That's excellent.
But yeah, because I've done 2 stints now at the centre at Haddington. I did Monday and Wednesday, and it's been quite busy. But I think one of the disappointing things is there's about 10% no-shows.
Sorry, is this at the hospital you're talking about?
Yeah, the community hospital.
That's quite a high no-show, isn't it?
Yeah. So yesterday morning, about 20 people haven't turned up. But, they were coming from yesterday. Some of them were from North Berwick and Gullen, and others were from Trent. And certainly some of the people who got there from North Berwick came on the bus, which of course is only every 2 hours.
Mm.
Yeah.
Although handicaps are doing transport, not everybody might be aware of that.
Yeah.
And there are also some people who are really having mobility difficulties, struggling, who handicaps might have been able to bring. In fact, one person, I thought it was so convinced he was going to fall over that had to get him a wheelchair to get him in.
Is there any feedback through staff with the hospitals about that being addressed, you know, just sort of thinking a higher concentration of trying to get the news out about what transportation help there is? Because I think it's tricky, and you quite often find the same groups get the info and share it at the same time, and then it all goes completely quiet again. You know, I'm aware of that myself when I'm trying to share things. Sometimes there's just a big gap before you think, oh, I should really share that again. You know, there could be lots of people didn't see it first time round. So
yeah, because Jane Ogden-Smith from Health and Social Care, she'd put stuff on that Facebook page, which I shared. VCEL have had stuff on theirs, which I've shared. But I was at a meeting yesterday about community resilience, recovery, supposedly, and with Sharon Saunders from East Lothian Council and others, you know, and I was mentioning this no-show bit, and that, you know, it was something that they're going to have to consider, because they don't know if it's people haven't got the letters, people, you know, who've had a problem with the time and maybe rescheduled, or if it just no shows and why they've not shown.
yeah, and there'll always be a mix of reasons. I mean, the expectation is not that it'll be 100% take up. So there's always going to be a percentage of people are getting the opportunity to have the vaccine but won't want it, or won't want it at the time they're offered it. Because sometimes that takes a little bit of time to drip through. But yeah, I mean, if it's a case of there's some people who are just not able to access their appointments, when there could be some support and help, and maybe it's just flagging up for me, maybe I need to do more regular sharing of that.
You know, because say somewhere like North Berwick or Gullen, you know, that is pretty difficult, you know, when you have got, you know, because the hospital's not in the best place for public transport. So if your bus is only every 2 hours, in fact, so one chap, he was there before 8:30 when they start, and that they took him early was well before his appointment because it was the only bus he could come on.
Yeah, and they've put more bus routes on to get to the hospital just to cover this, but not even, everybody's not even aware of that. If they just knew that the bus they would normally get would not go there, then that might be the end of how long, you know, how much investigation you give to it. You just think, I know what the bus does, and it doesn't go near the hospital, I can't get there. But I had a friend who was due to go yesterday and lives in Musselburgh, about 2 miles from QMU, where there's a centre, and actually got sent to Bonnyrigg. And you think there's a little bit that's very confusing about what's going on for folks.
Because it's all being done centrally by NHS Lothian, and there's been a thing about some of the people organising the logistics did not know that everybody who has an EH postcode, that they weren't in Edinburgh. So say a lot of people in Dunbar, you know, in a week and stuff, East Linton, getting appointments at the Edinburgh Conference Centre in Ingliston.
Mm-hmm.
So one person I know from East Linton, she'd phoned and, you know, to say, you know, I am, you know, I've been told not to travel. There's no way I'm going all that way because it's so difficult to get to on public transport, and I'm not paying for the parking. And so she'd got Haddington, but when they were talking to her, they said, "Oh, East Linton, is that near Bonnyrigg?"
Yeah, there's total confusion.
And
there's some people from the borders have been sent to the Edinburgh's conference centre. Speaking of them last week, and you think, well, that really is stretching it, because that's TD postcodes and they've been sent to Edinburgh.
And the other thing that I've come up with, I was talking to some people, and it's Coburn's Path, called Co-Path, which is like 5 miles from Dunbar, but it's in Borders.
It's TD, yeah.
Now, some people there are registered at the GP and doctors in Eyemouth. They've had theirs. the people who register with the doctors in Dunbar still haven't heard. And they phone Borders and say nothing to do with us. They phone NHS Lothian who say nothing to do with us. And they've just been played ping pong with. And that's people in the higher groups.
And it's not that the rollout won't happen, and it's not that we've changed anything from lockdown yet. It's just it's a bit stressful. It's confusing for people.
Yeah.
And, you know, a few miles apart, it's difficult to work out where maybe somebody the same age group as yourself or same category as yourself, if you're at risk, has been already vaccinated and you haven't heard anything. It is, I think that part's the difficult bit. It's really quite stressful. You don't know if you've been missed off a list or, you know, are we somehow or other, are we neglected in this area? And I mean, certainly initially there was a lot of struggles in that GPs, etc. They didn't know what they were going to get and when they were going to get it. And having got some, they didn't know. It wasn't that it was a very reliable, clear delivery that was going to come and that you absolutely could guarantee. So we've moved on a bit from that, which is great. In fact, we've moved on quite a big bit from that, which is great. But I think it is still really difficult for people in the community, which isn't feeling very much like we're celebrating community at this stage. But
I was going to say we should be focusing on the good things. I know I would love to be able to sort out the logistical issues with transport and things, but unfortunately that's not what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like an important issue, and obviously there's I know Helen is getting in touch with you, Jackie, about some things specific to Dunbar. I don't know if that's something to raise.
Can I just ask, sorry, about the Lorraine, is it? You mentioned transport,
Yeah.
and that buses have they slightly rerouted? And I hadn't heard anything about that.
Now, see, all these things, I get so much come in and out of me that like which tabs open in my brain at any one time is a bit of a hit or a miss. But there was something shared that I think it's Prentice Buses had put on more routes that would take you to the community hospital so that you could access getting to the new community hospital when normally you wouldn't. Now, that information, I think the best place to find that, I'm pretty sure it's Don Prentice Buses. So that would be the best place to go and find that information and just see what's updated. But it was absolutely related around the vaccination programme.
Right.
So that part, and the part about those who had particular problems around mobility and access and maybe a particular risk around being on public transport and didn't have their own other routes sorted out, then again there was this other option that you could contact, which I think is linked between Edinburgh and here. I don't think it was just local to East Lothian. But that's as far as that tab's opened again for me just now. It's not coming fully open. All the information's not flowing straight back. But it just makes me think, Jackie, you know, well, you know, I've shared both of those things once, maybe one of them twice.
Yeah.
Maybe I just, you know, that needs to be a regular post going out, because human nature is you need to see something several times before it drops in, you know, until you need that information.
Yeah.
Or you know somebody who needs it, you often just park it. It's not sort of really taken on board.
What was happening with the call centre was that they were telling people to phone the GP, and Dunbar Health Centre was saying, no, don't phone us, this is an NHS Lothian organised thing, you know. So the NHS Lothian call centre seemed to have teething problems. Interestingly, the person who is in charge of the logistics of the programme for the Scottish Government lives in Dunbar, and I know him, so he might get somebody chapping on his door.
A direct point of access.
It's called Stephen Gallagher. He lives in Roxburgh Park in Dunbar.
Those things that you're saying, Laureen, that are to be shared, I've not had anything. I don't know about Sue. I've not had anything through my inbox. I don't know if it's something that maybe can be shared again through our networks as well, but feel free to pass it on.
I think I might have put it on so that's another problem. It's not just how many tabs are open, it's tabs for which thing at which time. So I do social media for a lot of different things, and it's most likely that I've shared it through Support from the Start and through Generations Connecting and Growing Together. Those are the two most likely places I would have popped that kind of post into. But I'll, you know, I'm busy making a mental note for myself. I need to go back and find it and repost it and just think about reposting that more often. But if I find it, I'll tag. I'll tag it.
What place you will find it is the now handicaps now seem to call themselves HCL or HCEL, and that is certainly on their Facebook page.
Okay. And the East Lothian Health and Social Care Partnership page, that one is good for finding this kind of info as well.
Because Jane put it on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it comes back to the conversation that always crops up about one central place for information, I guess, and how best way to share information, all of that. But I know that is always an ongoing conversation. I don't know if anybody has kind of come into this. I know Linda and Anne, you haven't joined one of these conversations before, and obviously it's very informal, just chit chat like we are. But I also just wanted to check that anybody had anything specific that they were kind of wanted to talk about, and we can delve into that. Otherwise, there's a couple of questions that I'd quite like to ask if nobody does. Jacqueline?
It's just whilst it's on my mind that it was. I actually dipped to the council papers, and that changes afoot that were agreed Tuesday at the council meeting, that Fiona O'Donnell has stepped down as Cabinet Member for Health and Social Care, as the East Lothian Rep on NHS Lothian, and as the chair of the IJB. She's been replaced by Shameen Akhtar, which I think we need to be chasing Shameen, because there's a lot of issues that are part way through, like the reprovisioning of the hospital and care home sites, the funding of day centres, the future of, the review of adult social care. So much that's been going on. And
I know Shameen. I know Shameen very, very well.
Oh no, I mean, Shameen's fine. I've just been.
Yeah, I just mean knowing. So what I was going to say is, knowing Shameen, she will be absolutely immersing herself in what's going on and how's it going, and her and Fiona will actually have that conversation. So I think it's good to say what's going on, but I wouldn't have any qualms about she'll hit the ground running and she'll keep going.
She's certainly one of the stronger councillors that's in the cabinet.
Yeah, Shameen's just that. I mean, the difference for that is she's moving out of education and cabinet hospice. So again, they all need to communicate with each other really well at times when everybody's pretty stretched. So there will be little gaps when sometimes you feel somebody's not picking up something as quickly as they would have been, but they'll all be supporting who just came into the post that they were just coming out of to make sure there's continuity.
Finding that out by chance when so much going on, and so that with the whole issue of Belhaven Hospital, which of course, is giving care to older people. We lost 11 beds 3 years ago, and was having been promised that a new facility in 2009, will be now on Cabinet Member number 6.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think there's going to be any magic fairy dust happening as much as everybody would like to be the one where it all comes together when that's their position and role.
Yeah, but we did have, there was a facility on the cards in 2010.
Yeah.
That got dropped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just, I feel like we should get on to, I really respect what you're saying, Jacqueline, but I don't know if it's the right conversation. I want to know what brings joy to the communities and what the things that we can do to kind of just enhance that, and what nice things are happening or have been happening in the last 12 months, and kind of, I guess, hear as well from yourself, Anne, because obviously connecting with people living with dementia and carers especially is so important. And yeah, just to how you're getting on with the peer support group, and if there's anything that's coming out that seems to be particularly missed or needed or wanted.
I think it's probably the same issues as most people have, which is for the carers and the person with dementia, it's lack of respite, which is something I go on about a lot. It's absolutely key to both, I think, the carer and the person with dementia, because without respite, and whether that's 2 hours a week or whether it's a whole week of respite, it's extremely difficult for carers to continue. So that is an issue. I'm trying to think of positives for you, but the truth is it's actually really difficult.
I can imagine.
At the moment to think of positives, because so many of the things that were there, you know, that a lot of the things that Sue established have disappeared. One of the things I think we've come to realize, and some of the reading I've done as well, is that I don't think we realized how important just for the person with dementia to be in a social setting with other people, even if they did not say a single word. The fact that they were in that setting where people were interacting had a huge positive effect. And one of the things that all the carers are saying was how the person with dementia has gone downhill and is missing social interaction. So that friendships, you know, seeing people, going somewhere for a coffee, that's such a basic, or it used to be such a basic thing, if you can afford the coffee, I have to say. It's such a basic thing that has completely gone, and that's a huge miss. So, you know, the sooner something like that can come back, the better, and just that people can actually get together. It's been quite a miss. We used to meet, you know, real face to face, and we started Zoom. Showing my ignorance here, I had never even heard of Zoom, and I realized that if you have somebody sitting beside you, it takes about 4 or 5 minutes to show you how to do it. It took me a whole weekend because I was Googling everything and thinking I understood the terminology, and I didn't. But eventually I got it going. So on our Zoom group, although the email invite goes out now to 16 people, because we actually lost several people with dementia died last year. There are now about 6 to 8 of us usually at a meeting, whereas in a face-to-face group it would have been 12 to 14 of us. And one of the things that it's just you mentioned earlier, Lorraine, that we need to re-contact people to let them know it's there, because like I said, 6 people have, I don't think I said the number, but 6 people have died last year. And normally the carer then leaves the group. It's their choice whether they leave or stay, but they usually leave because it can be quite difficult. This is my view, nobody's said this. It's quite difficult listening to people talking about the person who is still alive and the person that you cared about has died. So that's quite difficult for a lot of people. So I realized as well that we need to be promoting ourselves a bit more. And it's a big step for some people though to actually contact us. I'm usually the first point of contact. And the most people really came, our numbers built up to about 22 or something who were emailed regularly. But it built up mainly by word of mouth, actually, and usually by referral from a professional person who worked in the area of dementia. And they mentioned our group, and that's how people joined us. So reissuing information and sort of re-establishing contact. We're hoping that we will eventually meet again face to face, and I think that will probably, the numbers will rise again after that. But my life has kind of evolved. The other truth is my life's revolved around dementia. My husband first got it when he was about 52, 53. He's now just had his 70th birthday. And I'm at the stage where I only actually want to focus now on really carers, people with dementia, because I feel I can't contribute as much as I used to when he was at home. He's currently in Eddington. And so my sort of emphasis will be carers, and also trying to influence local policy. I have very simple aims sort of in my head, because there are one or two key things that really make a difference. One is respite to carers. The other is emotional support. And the third thing actually is practical support. Quite often people ask, oh, she won't put her clothes on anymore, what do I do? And so it's answering quite specific questions. He won't go to sleep at night, what do I do? She won't take her pills, what do I do? I can't get her in and out of bed, what do I do? Now, if you've got professional involved, and some people have and some people haven't, then it can be easier, but it isn't always the case where you get the answers to those questions. But those are the three key things that are always in my head that are really, really important, that need to be worked on. Sorry, I didn't mean to hog it there.
No, that's really, it's so special to hear it just crystallize like that. And as you're speaking, Anne, I'm busy thinking, these are the same questions that I get from parents with children with additional support needs. And this is the same question I get from families with young people with mental health issues or neuro non-typical and PDA, etc. I don't know where to go for this kind of help. I don't know who can support me. And it's not that there would be one situation where one expert, so to speak, in one field could answer all of those questions for everybody. But actually there is a bit about, I had a long meeting this morning which was about local East Lothian, and in the afternoon it was about third sector stuff for the borders. These are not localized issues. These are the same situations that are being found the length and breadth of the country, and more than likely the length and breadth of the world in so many different capacities. And yet we're still not very good at answering these practical issues. It becomes a case of who you know a lot of the time, to try and even find out who you signpost.
That is one of the things, though, that's in the Feely report, you know, in the review of social care. That part of it is about carers and trying to improve supports for carers. You know, that we have had the Carers Needs Recognition Act and things, but it's having the funding for the organisations.
Yes.
So that when I was working at Liberton, social workers with older people, that people had a right to a carers assessment, and we were being told, no, you've got to get these people out of the hospital as quickly as possible. You can forget that bit. And so they went home, and nobody did it because the community were too busy with other things. You know, crisis.
We have got gems. We have, you know, in terms of celebrating community, we've got gems of people who have really good practical information that can help. And on a wide range, on really those kind of things, like they just won't do it. What am I supposed to do? There's a group we could get to, but we can't get there because they won't put their clothes on. You won't let me help them put their clothes on. Those are really practical kind of issues of how you work around. And sometimes you just need to be able to talk to somebody who understands that and validates that you're not done something really, you're not being useless, you're not redundant. That's just a situation that is met by so many people and over again in different situations. And I think, Jackie, I totally get your point about the carers, but I would say with honest, an awful lot in terms of early years and children, parents aren't considered carers. They're just considered parents. And so they don't even get to access key areas of what would be considered this is a support that needs to go in. And who do they turn to? And I think, again, it comes back to, yeah, amazing people in your community and in your know, but you need to know who that is. And somehow or other, you then share what you've learned to somebody else. It's the, you receive a gift, you pass a gift on, you know, sort of thing. It's that very natural, organic support system that happens.
It's a postcode lottery of where you live and your support network. You know,
yes, and it does. And, you know, so it totally fails when there's somebody not there for you.
Yeah, you know, so somebody like, you know, Sue has been very dynamic in what she's been doing. Dunbar, you've got somebody like Lorna Bunny, who's been doing carer support network. So there's these pockets, but that's not, there's, you know, there's no national system. You know, it's so it, you know that some communities are better than others.
So I wonder if the celebrating communities bit and the bit that we learn from this is things like, and what you're saying is, this is what you would like to see happen. You've got certain things you'd like to push, but also what do we do with that in the local community area, that we just make sure there's more access to that kind of support, those gems in community that can help in the short term. You know how people are fearing in the back, there's about to be a guides meeting as well, so it's all going on, we're sharing the internet. Yeah, there's things like that. I just think, and Sue and I are so embedded in ABCD community, you know, about the ABCD, assets-based community development. There's some other slight acronyms that get used there, but we always think the greatest strength is absolutely in the people in the community and the grassroots level.
Yeah,
but that means,
I would agree with that, actually.
Yeah, it's totally. Those are the people that you connect with. Those are the people you build the relationships with. Those are the people that are on hand, and in some way you're more likely to turn to because you don't feel like you're a bother, or you don't feel like it's just because it's somebody's job. And that's not taking away anything from all our amazing practitioners and professionals who are just, especially over the last while, gone above and beyond. But it is something about, that's because we're human beings and that's what you do. That's the first bit that actually comes to you, is you're not looking for a professional. You're looking for somebody that you feel sees you and cares for you when you need a bit of help.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's how you pay it on again. So I do think we've always had it, but we ended up with society going a bit wonky, where there's been a much bigger push about this all has to be a department of people who do this and a department of people who do that. But some of it just wasn't needed. We didn't need it to get so bureaucratic, and we didn't need it to become so siloed, because it should have been to support communities, not to take away from that sense of community, that actually often the first person that you need to help you is the person next door or round the corner or at the end of the phone for you or whatever. And I think maybe that's a bit about the celebrating of communities and the celebrating and the joys. There's a bit of bringing that back to the fore and just being clear about how much that's happened. I mean, there's not a service anywhere in the UK that would have even begun to cope if there hadn't been a community of care and a third sector working its socks off to support people through COVID times. It just couldn't have happened. But some of what we need now is that needs to stay strong, and that still needs to be recognised. But then we're looking at, well, where are the real gaps? And that's where we need the help. That's where we need some injection of cash or some injection of resources or people or just somebody to help man a phone, because you can't always be at the end of a phone. Just different practical elements, as well as always pushing on a policy level to make sure that something's sustainable and it's held on to. But I think we've just got the most amazing communities. And we kind of always really did have, but it was getting lost somewhere. of being recognised for that. And we do, we just have absolute gems. I could literally walk just yards, and there's another one there that you absolutely know where, you need help. What do you need?
That was one of the things, though, with the early days of COVID, that, pretty much East Lothian Council said to community councils and area partnerships, get on with it. Requests went out on social media, and within a few days we got 150 volunteers.
Yeah.
People wanted to help.
Want to help.
Yeah, and and in some cases, say I've been supporting somebody now since last March. Another lady, she's still supporting somebody that she's been supporting since last March. And other people are the same. That it's the community came together.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that met their neighbour for the first time properly as well, and that neighbourly support. And yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a weird silver lining, but of course, with everything that's happened, it has really brought everybody together. And that's, yeah, I think that's kind of at the core of what we're recognizing. So very nicely said.
There's another project going on just now, which we just, so maybe this is another wee bit of joy. It's just giving me, I've been in a number of meetings lately, folks, and all of this stuff's as a volunteer. And I'm just doing it. Do you know what? You're all magic people, so all we need to do is just keep spreading our pixie dust. And I've been known now for talking about pixie dust. So it's got to come into this one as well. But it's just about sprinkling a little bit of something you've got that's good. Put it in the mix. And so we had a situation under Support from the Start, which is a network, and almost everybody is a volunteer, or they're volunteering their time alongside a practitioner role. That's the way Support from the Start network is. But we did have, for a short time, we had for each cluster area a family support worker. And like everything, it was short-term funding, and it's gone. And Support from the Start can't really apply for other funding because it's not a charity, it's not an organisation, it's a network. So we're left a little bit in limbo land. And the family support worker for my cluster area's post was due to finish at the end of January. And I knew the families that she was supporting, and I knew they wouldn't be picked up by anybody else. They would literally just be left to just get on with it, because the nature of the work is we are looking at supporting families who, for any reason, are in a bit of a rocky place. They were coping fine, they didn't need any particular supports, or weren't as high up the ladder for needing support as some other families. But another couple of things come in, and before you know it, they're overwhelmed, or somebody's not well, and that could be the key person in the family, and things are starting to fall apart. And you just know, if you get in early enough and you can support that person, you can help them stabilize again. You can help them find the support that's needed, whether it's financial or whatever else. You can help to make those links. You can help to build confidence back. And instead of ending up in a high tariff situation where everything has just gone horrendously wrong, you've created a bit of an intervention through creating some sort of relationship and trust, supporting them where they're at, and then they can move back on again to where the pathway that should be the one that you want opened up, i.e. you don't need any other interventions or support, you've got a good network round about you, and so forth and so on. And so we deal with this middle ground, and in midwifery terms they talk about it red, amber, green. So we're looking at the amber families that it could go a bit wonky for. And we're trying to stop it get to high tariff stuff where it's just awful and there's an impact that goes on and on and on for years afterwards, possibly for lifetimes. So I couldn't rest. I really couldn't rest knowing that my family support workers post was coming to an end, and the hopes that we'd had that there was going to be funding taken on board. There was a review of all family support workers across umpteen different agencies in East Lothian, and the hope was this was all going to be consolidated, and it just hasn't happened. You know, it's potentially still out there in the ether, but it's not happening. So I thought there's got to be a way we can work it around. We've found a way to get around it. We've got a stay of execution in a sense. I've got her still working, supporting these families. But what we've also done is looked at how we could knit together with some others in the community to create, well, in my head, it's called Craft and Care. So it was an idea about trying to build community for these. They're all mums actually at this point in time. There's no dads in this scenario at the moment, but they're all single mums and their children. And it's about COVID took away the opportunity to take them, perhaps handhold and bring them into groups and meet some other people and build some other friendships bit by bit. So we haven't had that option. It was about how can we do it? We're going to try it virtually and through some fun crafts and connect with the kids and meet somebody else that actually you probably identify with quite well because they feel very similarly to you. And so this wee group's going to start, and we've got some super people involved in it. But it got highlighted for another project that's happening in Scotland. So there's 2 other sites, and it's through Support in Mind. I don't know if that means anything to any of you. And a partnership with NHS and a partnership with Health Exchange stuff. So they've got interested in what happens in rural geographical areas when winter comes and everything seems to shut down. So they actually called this the winter lockdown before we hit the second lockdown, and it genuinely became the COVID lockdown over winter. So it was already kind of named, and they're working with 2 other sites, and last year they did a sort of pilot elsewhere. And those are village communities, rural communities, or extended connections of rural communities. And they've taken their projects on, but they were told about ours. And they said it doesn't have to be a geographical place. It could be a community in kind. So this community of parents with young children hitting, you know, mental health issues, feeling isolated, struggling in different ways, that could be the community. So we're going down this route just now, and at the moment it's really early days. We've been really well and truly flung into the project side of stuff, but they're so interested. The hope is that they're going to make a little film about it, and we'll be able to connect the story. And the hope for us is that will help us evidence something so that we can continue to access support financially and simply by stating, you know, like people sharing the need, that we can continue to do this so that we'll be able to continue to support more families. So it's all a little bit in the ether, but it feels like it's only happening because of the people that have connected.
Yeah.
And felt there's something they can contribute and they can do it now. We're not going to wait for 3 months or 6 months or whatever, or wait if there's some COVID recovery money that might come. These wonderful people can knit together now and offer this connected support for these, in this case mums, but for these families in need, and make a difference. So we're spreading little bits of pixie dust where we can.
No,
And other people have thought that's a great idea, and maybe that might be a catalyst. Some other people in some other places might also do the same thing. So that for me is definitely joy in community, because if we didn't network and have these people and know these people, this bit now just wouldn't be happening.
Just thinking though, you know, about funding and stuff, are people here aware of Maureen Allen's, VCEL, have got together with an organisation for a new community lottery, and that they had a soft launch yesterday, so groups can start signing up, and they sort you out with a page, and then people can, once they start selling the tickets, they start selling on the 1st of March, and then the first draw's on the 8th of May. But people who want to play, they look at the site and they can choose which organisations they want to support. And and an organisation, if somebody buys a ticket, the organisation gets 50 pence of the £1.
60,
Pardon?
60 pence.
No, so it's 50 pence for the organisation. Another 10 pence goes into a big pot for
The White Pottery pot. That's right.
but-
Yeah.
But to sign up, you have to be a constituted group. So you've got to prove that you're a constituted group, because they want to see your constitution and everything.
Yeah.
But part of the discussion about the general pot was that little groups might be able to apply to that, because, for example, I was given the example of there's a little group for older people in West Barnes, which is a bingo group, but they just get together to play bingo, but they have, they've had needs for a new bingo machine and things like that. So they might be the ones that sort of group that applies to the smaller thing, but certainly it's something new that she's thought of to try and bring money, and it's just specifically for groups in East Lothian.
Yeah, I saw something. I've not got all the information, so that's good to know. I'll look into that more.
Yeah, well, it's on the VCEL Facebook page,
Yeah.
Dunbar Community Council Facebook page.
Yeah, I've seen it on the Facebook pages. I've just not clicked into it yet.
Yeah, and there was an article last week, and it's also on the Courier's Facebook page, but it could be.
That's great.
That works that they would. It was an unfortunate that they gave an example of a council in Buckinghamshire which uses it, rather than the fact that the Western Isles have got a very successful one done by the same company.
It's a nice way to share.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Linda, I don't know, I know we're coming up to the hour, but I'll just ask you quickly how the law quilters are getting on, if you're still involved with them. I was speaking to Roseanne before about memory pillows that they're doing.
The quilters they're one of these little groups in the community that do so much in the background, and they never shout out what they exactly do. They've been really, really busy during lockdown. At the moment, they are one of the key focuses is they're making a memory panel about COVID and how North Berwick pulled together and came together as a community. They wanted to like capture how the community had worked together. So we have just finished a panel. I'm super excited about it, actually. I've seen it all kind of pieced together. It's not properly quilted yet into the actual panel. But there's it's really cool. We've been sewing, we've been embroidering, we've been quilting to pull all this together to commemorate things like the puffins, the rainbows, the baking, the shopping. I think there's some toilet rolls in it somewhere, because there was this big thing in the community about toilet rolls. The museum,
I think in the world.
I know. How many toilet rolls have you got hidden?
Well,
I was going to speak to Moira last week and take some pictures. It's actually, when they finish the panel, it's going to hang in the museum in North Berwick. So I wrote a bit about the puffins, and I wrote a bit about the rainbow. I actually embroidered the rainbow for the panel, so I'm feeling quite happy about that, because I've actually contributed something. And Mary's daughter, Erin, she actually drew the picture of the rainbow. So I think the museum, what they're going to do is for each panel, they're going to put a bit of narrative. So I spoke to Judy, and I asked Judy if I could forward the report that Sue and Maya and Claire had done at the end of Resilience, because a lot of the key dates and facts were in that, and it was because it's a museum, they could take some of the factual stuff out of the report and use it in the museum. So the quilters have been doing that. They've also been doing the baby hats for neonatal babies. They do breast cushions, and they hand that into the Western for ladies that have had mastectomies. They do the mastectomy drainage bags. Oh my God, we do Linus quilts. I've actually got about 5 Linus quilts sitting over there. I'm making neonatal quilts at the moment. When they're little tiny things, because they're only like 27 inches by 17 inches, you know. So the law quilters have been seriously busy, and they do all this, and they do, I mean, quilts for sick kids. At the moment, there's a lot of problems with mental health and young adults. And we're making a lot of quilts for that group just now. So they'll get given out through the focal points and share some of the, it's a way of sharing some of the love. And the quilters they're a wonderful group of ladies. They're like, the range, some of them are about 90 years old. It's the most amazing group of ladies. And some of them can't see, so they can't quilt anymore. So they do their knitting. Some of them just come and talk when we actually have our meetings. And then other ones will, somebody will cut their material in their sew. It's just, yeah, it's really, they've been working very hard in the background, sharing the love for people in hospitals, people with mental health issues and abuse, you know, doing quilts like that, and the memory panels. So I'm not sure at what point it will feature in the courier, but I do know that it's just about ready to get sewn, and the museum are going to take pictures of it, and I know what it looks like. I've seen it, and it's a wonderful thing for the community and how North Berwick came together. It's fantastic, and it's just going to hang in that museum. So I hope that a lot of the people in North Berwick go and see it and look at it and say, I was a street link. I did that. I supported my neighbour who couldn't get out because they were shielding. I got their prescriptions. I got their messages. And as Anne said, there was a lot of people that cared for their neighbours. You know, it was just a fantastic thing, and everybody linked up. So watch this space, ladies. I'm sure at some point when the museum opens up and the panels in the museum, you'll be able to go and see it and read just a little bit about the narrative for each panel and how everybody in North Berwick pulled together as a community.
I think that's a really interesting idea. I'm just
Sorry?
wondering, the castle, I think that's a really nice idea. I'm just wondering if the castle quilters in Dunbar have thought of doing anything similar.
I'm sure, I mean, I'm sure they maybe have. I know as well, I don't know how many of you frequent the community centre where Katie is based. But if you go into the community centre as well, the quilters actually did a panel for the community centre when it opened. And when we're allowed in the community centre again, if you look at the panel, you'll see bits of North Berwick on that panel. So it's just a little group of ladies that love what they're doing, and they just beaver away in the background, and then they produce this phenomenal work, which is a history of our town. But I'm sure the Dunbar quilters will be maybe thinking of something similar. I mean, I know they'll be doing like Linus quilts, breast cushions. They'll be doing all the things we do. Yeah, and it would be nice if the Dunbar quilters were maybe doing something. So you could maybe share that with them, Jackie, and just say, we're just at the stage where we're about to put the panel together and sew it and present it to the museum. And it's all done through like the community council. We've talked to the community council, Jackie Lockhart, the chair of the community council, knows about it. So our president, Moira, has been liaising with Jackie and the museum. So it's really cool. It's a really
wonderful.
It is. It's a really cool
wonderful
thing of how we've all pulled together, and it's just.
That's absolutely that joy of celebrating community, isn't it? That's what the community did. And
I'm so chuffed. is in that. I'm so chuffed that some of me's in that panel. You have no idea how important that was, because I've been involved so heavily with the resilience team. To know it's a bit of me's in the panel too. So I'm so happy. So
That's
happy with that.
brilliant.
Big
I
on
love that idea. Absolutely love it.
hot off the press, and not a lot of people know that.
So does the panel include bottles of sanitizer?
But I do know there's toilet rolls on it. There is toilet rolls on one of the squares.
I got 60 litres of sanitizer delivered here from Glenkinchie for nothing.
Yeah,
And then had to distribute.
you've still got some Glenkinchie sanitizer.
Yeah.
MB Gym were charging for theirs, but Glenkinchie gave it for nothing.
Yeah, they were great. They had so much that they were giving out.
Superstars. And again, you know, just an example of a local business embedded in East Lothian that just thought there's something we can do to help, so let's do it, you know. And it's just, yeah, I could go and lift. I've got what's left of the stuff I did, just a little bit left. Some in my car as well, I have to be honest.
I've still got a Lucasade bottle, which is the MB, which is the remains of the MB, which was runnier than the Glenkinchie one. So it's a Lucasade bottle that says nil by mouth on it.
I think it is important though. It's like all these little groups came together, and because of that, people are working. There's still volunteers now, and is it the Rotary Bass Rock that are together, that the Rotary now pull on, that are doing things around the town, that like this group here that are doing different things, the quilters. I still touch base with Carol Strobey's group, the Befrienders, and they're linking up with people that are isolating. They're doing buddy walks, you know, training for buddy walks. Scone Cafe, whatever that is going to start on a Monday. So I'm going to pop in there and have a scone, because the scones are amazing, and then talk to people that they're trying to coax out into the community. So there's all these little groups all within North Berwick. And I think COVID, one of the positive things of COVID, if you can say there's a positive thing, is people have pulled together. The connections are probably better than they were before COVID. And there's a much bigger awareness of what there is actually out there and what people can tap into. And people know they're not alone, and there's people to help. So
that's really wonderful to hear, Linda. No, don't zip it, because
no zip. I talk too much. No.
One of the biggest issues I think we come across again and again, and I was just listening to exactly the same story being regaled in Scottish Borders today, and there was one with Midlothian the other week. Is like it's just similar to you said, Maya. It's about knowing what's there, and I think if more little grassroots things have sprung up, or more awareness about what's going on at a sort of grassroots level in your community has come through people reconnecting or connecting for the first time in their communities, that's brilliant. And I think a big part of that is we need to keep capturing that, because there will still always be somebody new to the area, or somebody whose circumstances change and they didn't know about such and such in the area. So the more that we know, and the more that we share, and the more we talk about these things, it's brilliant, because it connects. So for example, if I get a family that come, well, or it could be me, it could be Katie, whatever, but if somebody comes through that's within the North Berwick cluster area with a need, it means that they didn't already know something existed for them.
Yeah.
So they've gone searching, looking for an answer somewhere externally, somewhere different. They haven't got it from the person they've met, or the local shop didn't have a bit of information about it, or they didn't find it on the local North Berwick page for whatever else, or, you know, like, it might be there, but it might have been buried. It might have been that same thing. It's not come to the top of the set of posts, and we are relying on social media a lot to keep these messages getting out there. So I just think the more that people talk, and the more that people know what's going on in their community, and the more they share it, brilliant. It inspires other communities to do similar when they recognise the same need. But it also means those who didn't already know are more likely to hear about it. And that's the most important thing, because there is pure magic in our communities. They're really, really special. And but you have to feel connected to it, and you have to know what's there. You have to feel like it is your community.
Mhm.
And I think so. No, so don't zip it, for goodness sake, don't zip it. Just keep saying it, keep ding-donging it from the highest ceilings kind of thing. Keep sharing it and encouraging other people to share, because we need to know, and we need to keep saying there's good things here. And you know your same message as Anne, it's having a focus and knowing what you feel is the thing that you can carry forward is really important, because that will create that stronger connections for other people that will follow on. Because it's really lovely. What great people. Great people. It's just so nice. I'm going to go on to yet another meeting now, but I better go and
Oh
see the
dear.
children first and check that the guides thing's running and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's so nice. It's the first time I've been able to reconnect with all of you since the launch on week 1. I've been getting pulled in different directions, but I keep funneling other people towards it. Come again, you have to get involved in celebrating communities. Get involved, go and share what you're doing, go and hear what's happening. That's so good. And I miss Sue.
Thank you.
I miss her.
Yeah. She'll be popping in and out. I was just going to say, I mean, from the feedback we've had from this sort of space, people quite enjoy the informal chat, and it's just sort of a space to catch up and hear what's happening, and just to talk about anything and everything. So we are going to kind of continue those. I mean, obviously the project itself is just kind of taking shape as it goes. But from that kind of feedback, quite happy to keep these conversations going sort of bi-weekly or monthly, whatever it is that people want or need. And obviously this is the first evening, because usually it's on a Thursday morning, so so if that's worked for all of you, then that's brilliant, and I'll just kind of continue that. And we are kind of starting some of the themes that have come out of the conversations that we've had already. There's a couple of definite topics that people want to talk specifically about. And so one of them is walking, and kind of walking and getting out in East Lothian. So we are having a conversation about that. It should have been shared on the email, and it's on our Facebook as well. So that's on Tuesday, the 2nd, at 3 p.m. So if you don't have the links or you can't find them, just let me know if you want to come along, and I'll send them again.
You're not seeing that email, Maya?
Yeah, that's strange. So
either on mine.
Have you got it now though?
I got the one about this.
I got it.
Yeah, it should be on the same email. It's the Celebrating Walking in East Lothian. You can find it on our Facebook as well, if not, but just give me an email and I can forward it on.
Yeah.
Back at the launch day, Maya, there was a chap joined that was about golf, and the link for, I think, carers and people with dementia, it was sort of twofold. And Diane Govenlock was meeting with Craig and Coughlin, our area partnership manager, who is owner of Castle Park Golf Course. And he was really, really interested. And I was just saying to her the other night, what's has anything moved forward with that? Because obviously we went deep, into this deeper lockdown scenario, and then there's been all the snow and everything else. And she said, oh, good point. Craig's really, really keen on that, and it was going to try and make some connections, but I haven't heard any updates. So hopefully there'll be a little something that will come through from that. That would be just lovely to think that we could link in with that connection with the golf and space and beautiful scenery and
absolutely. Well, Fiona, who kind of was volunteering for the resilience group as well, she is really interested in getting a golf project up and running, And I think she's having chats with a lot of people at the moment to try and see where that could go. So I can definitely make that link. And is it Diane, did you say, that was interested? She's got
Yeah,
some
Diane had the direct chat with Craig about it, and we had an area
Yeah.
partnership meeting last Thursday, and I was trying to catch Craig at the end, but he got nobbled. So what I did was I went back to Diane and said, "Is that conversation going any further?" So it was on her radar to speak to him again, but I don't think there will be anything wrong with actually making a direct link. So his broadband is shocking. Absolutely shocking, as all of us that sort of hit the hills issue have that problem, and his is really bad. It's up there.
That's fine. I'm sure that if
he gets messages eventually.
I can let Fiona know, and I mean, even if she fancies giving him a phone call or whatever, but I'll let her know and make that link.
Castle Park golf course, so yeah, phone call's probably safer.
I'm sure she might have already.
Yeah, but he was really, really interested. He thought it sounded a cracking idea. So
yeah, we're excited about that. It seems to be a lot of people that would.
The sort of thing that Dunbar could think about as well. With having the 2 golf courses, one of which is the council golf course.
I mean, she might. I've not had an update from Fiona recently, but she might well be looking at it as an East Lothian wide project. I'm not sure. So I know she's it's still in her full-time work, and come the end of March, she'll be focusing on it a bit more. So hopefully we'll hear more then.
Yeah, good time for springtime as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But it always takes a while to set up that sort of buddy system and how does it work and things. So yeah, hopefully that will come to a good source. Magic.
Brilliant.
See, more pixie dust, ladies. Just keep going. Right, super to see you all tonight, and I am sorry, I'm definitely going to have to run so I can check the kids before I have to go on to the next thing. But
no, thank you. Yeah, it's been lovely to hear you. Thank you.
All right, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. How's everyone doing?
I'm fine. For me, it's been interesting, and it'll be nice to find out more about all the hands-on stuff and the hands-on projects that fall out of these discussions, because that's what I want to get involved on. I want some hands-on stuff, and I've linked up with Claire already. She pounced, and I do know about Fiona's golf as well. So that's positive, and it's getting people involved and getting people hands-on rather than just sitting having meetings all the time, which I think is the real exciting thing that's going to fall out of all these meetings.
Yeah, we've got a couple of things that are quite exciting that I'm working with Kirsty from Dunbar Grammar School to try and put a sort of intergenerational digital project together. So that's something that's just in the kind of the talks at the moment, but we've got the devices being funded, and she's got 10 students that are very keen to do the digital training, and that's leading on from the older and the younger diners that they had been doing pre-COVID. So that's something that's quite actually starting, and then there's also I was actually going to ask you, Linda, about a proposal for a quilting project, but you did say you're very busy, but I can speak to you separately about that and see what you think.
Talk to me and I can do something, because I'm away to write up something for Carol Stobie's newsletter about the history of the North Berwick quilters and how I got involved, because I learned to quilt in Africa. In West Africa is where I learned to quilt. So I'm away to write something about that. So no, please do, because I think after we had our last exhibition a year ago, Moira went round some of the care homes and some of the places in North Berwick and took some of the quilts and some of the things that we'd actually done. And the people were really interested to look at the quilts, to hear about the story behind them and all the things. So that is probably something that could be taken in to maybe some of the care homes, some of the groups. So give me a shout.
Yeah, I've seen on social media there's kind of called Tactile Quilts, and it's all very much like ribbons and buttons, and and things like that. I don't know if that's something that we could have a look at, but
It is. There's also things like my sister, this is totally, my sister does twiddle muffs for dementia sufferers, has done them for so many years. They actually phone her up now and ask her to make X amount of twiddle muffs. So I mean, if I'm sure I can link in with her and other people if anybody's needing some twiddle muffs for people with dementia as well, just to give them something to do with their hands and to work their hands and things. So,
and they can also work for people with learning difficulties, because it was my daughter-in-law, she works in a hospital in Leeds, and it was one of the nurses at Jimmy's who was doing them on night shift, and Joanna was coming here with bags full of twiddle muffs. So they went to Lammermuir House, they went to Belhaven Hospital. I also took some to the LCAP houses that we have here for some of the people with more severe learning difficulties, again, you know, to keep their hands busy, because
yeah, so there's
textures and things to do. And certainly one of the things that was buried with my mum was one of these twiddle muffs that was one of the last bits of a Christmas present that she got off my son.
no, so there's, yeah, just give me a shout, Maya.
Really good.
I'm happy to do something with quilting.
and I mean, I'm sure there's so much going on. That's the other thing, is that, you know, there's so much going on that I don't know about, and that myself and Sue don't know about, that, you know, we're not wanting to sort of reinvent the wheel, and we just want to kind of celebrate what other people are already doing as well. So we're hoping to sort of have a space. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, whether it's a web page or whatever, but just somewhere that people can share things that are happening and what they're doing, without getting onto the what's on thing. This seems to be an ongoing issue, but it's really great to have these conversations, and I'm really glad that all you guys came along. It's been interesting.
Thank you for doing it, Maya.
Thank you. Thanks, Maya.
And,
thank you.
and you were saying, Maya, that because I suggested somebody did us a doodle poll for a date for conversation in Dunbar.
Yeah, Helen said that she was going to give you an email or a phone about that. Helen Harper.
Oh, Helen Harper, right.
Yeah. Because I mentioned that to her, and yeah, so I think there's something happening, something in the works, but she said to leave it to her. So
yeah, just thinking, because I you know, I go to all these meetings, you know, as a volunteer, and I thought, and I was talking to Jill, who of course is digitally, well, she's now got an iPad that she's still getting used to, and she had to come and say, how do I open an email? And just thought, oh well, you know, if there was somebody who knew how to do a doodle poll, plus as well, Sue's got so many of the contact people that I haven't got email addresses for, and the whole GDPR thing, it seems simpler if somebody else could do that, to try and get us a date together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think having kind of a Dunbar specific, or if anybody else is keen to have a location specific conversation, I know Sue's kind of working on talking with sort of area partnership and etc. So I think that will be quite an interesting way to go as well, to really localize the conversations. So Helen said to me that she's going to contact you. So, but if you need anything in the meantime, let me know.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks, Maya.
Well, guys, I'm going to have some dinner. Feel free to stay on the call.
No, I need to go as well.
And cook something.
Thank you, everybody. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Really nice to see you all.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Maya.
See you later.